Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kolst here, and we are back for the next review. This one is Mage for the new set, Whizbang Workshop. Let's jump into it. There's some funny situational and cards you cannot build around in this set for Arena, so let's talk about them. First one, Hidden Objects. 2-mana spell, discover secret sets, cost to 1. So discover secrets do tend to be pretty good because that got auto-modded. That's really funny. Just because secrets are really situational, but you can pick the right one for the situation, right? So it's like discovering secrets is generally a lot better than actually having to put them in your deck. So this is a nice card. Like, probably take it like decent, okay, right? Like Mage Card. Mage secrets can be good. It's just they're so situational that it's inconsistent, right? So this is definitely fine. Depending on how much secret synergy there actually is, which I don't think there's a lot in this set, right? Unless I'm forgetting something. There's not. I don't think there's gonna be that much synergy. So then I don't know why you would really want this, but it depends. We don't know what the secret pool is gonna be, so it's just really hard to say. It's probably fine. Like it's probably just like a 2 out of 5. It might be a 3 out of 5 or even a 4 out of 5 if there's a lot of secret synergy, but you know, as of now, we don't know what cards are going to be in Arena, so we don't know. So it's probably fine, though. Next up, a couple of these cards here, which are all going to be terrible because they have conditions that are impossible to meet in Arena. Some of these cards have been banned in Arena, but when they have these impossible to meet conditions, but we don't know if they will be or not. So this one is Spot the Difference. 4 mana, discover a 3-cost minion to summon. If your deck has no minions, repeat this. It's terrible because 4 mana for a 3-drop without even getting a Battle Cry if you have it. It's just bad. You can't get like other class cards. There's nothing redeemable about it. It's just bad. So next up, Triple Wick Trickster. 4 mana, 2/3 elemental Battle Cry. Deal 2 damage to a random enemy 3 times. So compared to the other things, I mean, remember you used to have like 3 mana, 2/1 cast Arcane Missiles was an okay card. Wouldn't be that great anymore. This thing's a little weird because 2 damage, there's a lot of potential that it's just gonna, if there's odd numbers on board, it's not really that efficient. So on board, it may or may not be good, right? If there's an if it's all even numbers on board, it's really good. But if it's odd numbers, it doesn't look that great. But overall, there's elemental synergy potentially as well. It's still doing a lot. I mean, it's doing 6 damage as a Battle Cry, and you're getting a 2/3. Like, it does enough that it's going to be good for sure, but it's probably just not that great. It would be really good if you activate, you know, the 5-drop elemental that does more random damage past it. Like, that makes it really good. Yeah, it does always go face. That's also true. It can go face, so it always will go face. But, overall, it does too much to be bad, right? Like, it's a good card. I guess we'd say it's probably like a 3 out of 5, right? By our scale, it's probably fine. But yeah. Next up, Watercolor Artist. 4 mana, 4/4 elemental with Battle Cry. Draw a frost spell at the start of your turns. Reduces cost by 1. So generally, frost spells are cards you like to have. So it's a good effect. It's a 4 mana 4/4, which is slow, but you're getting a frost spell, which is good. And then sometimes you might want to play it immediately, and then you don't get any benefit. But if you don't play it immediately, then you start to get to mana cheated. It's really good. It is like Herald of Low Color power creep, yeah. The one problem is like some frost spells are almost no mana or even 0 mana, right? So if you draw a Brain Freeze, you only get to discount it once, and then you're not really getting the upside. If you get a Blizzard, then you get to discount it as much as you want, right? So that part of it's going to be inconsistent, but overall, it can't be that bad. Being 4 mana 4/4 draw a spell, as long as you're drawing something, it's a reasonable card. So overall, I mean, it's probably... Mage usually doesn't have problem with value, so you wouldn't prioritize the value super highly in general. Probably just say it's like a 3-star card. Again, it's probably fine. Probably not amazing. This card's pretty good though. Next up, Frostlich Cross Stitch. 5 mana Frost Spell, really good card to get off of this other card. Deal 4 damage to a character, can go phase. If it dies, summon a 3/6 water elemental that freezes. That's just a water elemental. They 10 times fast? No. This is like basically, I mean, it's a consistent Bane of Doom. That's easier to trigger because Bane of Doom, if you're not aware, does 3 now instead of 2. It used to do 2. But this does 4, so it's just makes it that much easier. Don't have to honorable kill or anything, it just always works. So it's just very efficient, right? Deal 4 and get a water elemental. You'll always be able to trigger it eventually, right? You just don't use it if it doesn't trigger. So it's a really good card. Better than Initiation? Probably. I mean, on curve it's better than Initiation a lot of the time, but Initiation is higher upside. It's like, I don't know, it's just really, it's overtuned, right? It's just a really good card. And it can go phase, so it can also be lethal, so I don't know if this is good enough to give it a 5, though. It might be. If the comparison is like Burrow Buster, it's probably about as good as a Burrow Buster. You probably just always take it, honestly. This probably is a 5, actually. It's probably on the low end of a 5, kind of like Burrow Buster is, but like, it's probably a 5. So, yeah. Very strong card. Next up, talking about strong cards, Sleet Skater. 5 mana 3/4 elemental with miniaturize, which is Battle Cry. Freeze an enemy minion, gain armor equal to its attack. This is the most unbelievably troll thing ever. I think this is a 5 too, honestly. This is disgusting because, I mean, freeze is a type of effect where if you get multiple, it's really good because you can just perma-freeze something, right? So your opponent plays one big minion, not only is it unable to do anything, you play this, you hold on to this one. You can probably afford to hold on to it because you're gaining armor. And then miniaturize, if you're not aware, you get a 1/1 copy of, you get a 1/1. After you play it, you get a 1/1 that does the exact same, has the exact same text as this card. So I should make a miniaturize command. Do we have a mod? If any mod wants to make that, you can. But yeah, so that's why this is just really good because you pretty much always, sometimes if you're really desperate, you could freeze 2 different minions, but most of the time you would just use it with 2 different, you would just chain the same minion, right? And then if they have an 8/8, you get 16 armor, and you do it 2 different times. It's kind of disgusting, right? So yeah, I mean, you know, in Mage, you pick that 1 mana 1/3, which has that really weird conditional armor gain because that gains armor for your spells cast because you just want armor that badly. This thing is just way better, right? Like, this thing is super good, so I think it's a 5-star. Next up, Manufacturing Error. 6 mana spell. Draw 3 cards. If your deck has no minions, they cost 3 less. 6 mana, draw 3 isn't exactly worth it, so it's bad. You could take this. I mean, there was like that one card in Rogue, which is like the same card basically, but the condition was like have a dragon in hand, which was also really bad. But sometimes you just took it because you didn't have a better option. This one, you still just don't want to take this. I mean, you could maybe say, I don't know, it's probably just a 1. Probably just move on. It might be a 1.5 maybe, but like, yeah. The problem is you can't trigger the effect. The one way you'd actually trigger this effect in Arena is if you're actually at fatigue, basically. But then you don't want to play this if you're at fatigue either. So you're never doing it. Next up, Puzzle Master Khadgar. 6 mana 5/5 Battle Cry. Equip a 0/6 Wisdom Ball that casts helpful mage spells. So I believe they have a list of all the helpful mage spells here. Unfortunately, I can't see, but it's basically all the classic spells, right? All the throwbacks. So like Polymorph, Arcane Missiles, Mirror Image, Frostbolt, Arcane Intellect, Counterspell, Ace Barrier, Blizzard. It does something kind of similar to what Zephyrs does, which is it decides what's going to be useful for you. So you can't see it, but it's a 3 mana 0/6 weapon. So. And it loses a durability each time you do it. So it's supposed to cast based off what you need. I'm not sure how. I mean, it's going to be hopefully about as good as what Zephyrs does. I assume like Polymorph would be targeted, right? If it actually does that, I think. And yeah, it just automatically targets it. It automatically triggers at the end of the turn. So it's just supposed to know, like, if you need AoE, it casts Blizzard. If you I don't know how it decides whether you want. If you need health, it might get barrier. I don't know when. It seems like you'd almost always want blizzard, but I don't know how it decides that you want a counter spell. If just none of the other conditions get met, I guess it just triggers a counter spell. Maybe if it wants to protect your board or something. I don't know. It seems a little weird. I just don't know how well I could trust it, because it's like anytime it casts mirror image, you're just gonna be like, what even causes it to want? I guess what would even make it want to cast mirror image? I don't even know. So it's like you could get trolled, but I mean, still, I mean, it's probably good, right? Hopefully, like 6 mana 5/5. If it just casts like Blizzard or Polymorph, it's already paid off, and then it's just like, as long as it doesn't like actively troll you, it's still upside, right? Like it's probably really, really good. It's probably a 5-star legendary, you would think, right? Yeah, it could always just cast Blizzard. I imagine it won't. That's the thing I'm afraid of. Like, if it was smart, it would probably just always cast Blizzard every turn, but it might not. That's the problem. So should just cast Blizzard every turn, but it's still probably just really, really good, right? So I think it's just broken. It's probably a 5-star card. Next up, we have Yogg in the Box. 8 mana Shadow Spell. Cast 5 random spells. If your deck has no minions, again, impossible. The spells cost 5 or more. If you could actually trigger this, it'd be insane, but obviously, again, you can't. This would be the one that's like, you might discover this when you actually are approaching fatigue, and then it might actually be possible to make it work, right? But it might not even be draftable. The other thing is, so I mean, it's 2 turns faster than Puzzle Box, but you get half the spells. I'm a little worried. I mean, we all know how good Puzzle Box is, but half of a Puzzle Box probably just isn't going to do enough a lot of the time, you would think, right? I don't know. Because, like, you can imagine, it's not that much different than it's just one charge of Prison Yogg, right? And that can be good, but this thing isn't, you can't target it like the other thing did, and a lot of times you just assume that your first charge might just not do anything with Prison Yogg either, so it's like, as base form is probably just not that good, right? But probably just not going to be draftable anyway. This will be a thing that you see discovered sometimes in a long game, you know, and then it will go off, but you see, as is, I can't imagine it's good. But the last card we have here is another legendary, the Galactic Projection Orb. 10 mana arcane spell, recast a random spell of each cost you've cast this game, targets enemies if possible. So this guy actually does target enemies. It's really good if you can make it work, right? But, you know, you can't exactly draft, you probably can't draft this. I don't think it would work with this, but you also can't have 2 legendaries in your deck in Arena anyway. You can't do it with like this, for example. You could do it with this, right? The thing is like, this would be your 5. If you have a Blizzard, you have a Firelands Portal or something like that. We don't even know if these cards are going to be in Arena or not, by the way. If you have a Rune of the Archmage, like, the potential is very, very good, right? I'm just worried about like the consistency of it, because you just might not get offered the right spells in your draft, you know? So that's the problem. If you can make this even remotely work, it's going to be amazing. So it's probably going to be better than a Rune of the Archmage. It costs 1 more mana, but it's also it's like an upgraded Rune of the Archmage, right? But that's the risk, is that you just don't know how much consistency you're going to be. I would keep saying, because we don't know what the rotation is. The rotation is coming soon, but we still just don't know what it's going to be. So, and again, we don't know how many big spells are going to be in the spell pool in Arena, so, or how often they're going to be offered. So without that, you really just can't know. This card's probably going to be at the minimum pickable, right? But it's just, you really just can't know. If you have a lot of Discover, that will also, you know, make this really good. You'll probably have enough Discover at the minimum to make this good, you would imagine, right? But you just don't know. So I would guess this is good, but I'll just say it's like a 4 out of 5 to be kind of in the middle of the good category, but it's just, it's a little hard to know without even knowing what cards are in the game. But with that, let me know what you guys think about this. So appreciate you guys all hanging out. We see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.